Hey everyone, this is Cappy, and you're listening to Just the Plate, a production of Beyond the Plate. Just the Plate is a short segment where chefs describe a dish or a recipe that is meaningful to them. So last week you heard from Chef Grant Achatz. If you missed last week's episode, you may want to check that out. If you are not aware, Chef Grant Achatz is the executive chef and co-owner of Alinea restaurant in Chicago, as well as Next Restaurant, the Aviary Cocktail Lounge, Royster, St. Clair Supper Club, and a couple places in New York as well. He was Time Magazine 100 Most Influential People. He's won multiple James Beard Awards, 3 Michelin star chef, Netflix Chef's Table episode on him. Truly an incredible human, incredibly smart, incredibly talented, and super fascinating to talk to. So again, if you missed that episode, I highly encourage you to check it out. But for now, if you recall in episode 2 of this season, Chef Thomas Keller walked us through a dish that is kind of a staple at the French Laundry. It's the salmon cornet, and he talked about his inspiration for that. So it's only fitting that we talk about a staple on Chef Grant Achatz's menu at Alinea. It's his hot potato, cold potato. So he's going to walk you through where the inspiration for this dish came from and kind of how the creative process works a little bit. He lets us in, as we say in the episode, peels back the curtain a little bit of what it takes and the mindset to bring a dish like this to life. So I'm going to stop talking. This is Just the Plate.
So the dish that I think best exemplifies something of the creative spirit and collaboration here at Alinea is the hot potato, cold potato. And a dish that we developed in 2006, honestly based off of 2 things that happened to me on my way to work. So most of us can relate to this, where I picked up a glass and there was clear liquid in it, and I thought it was Sprite, and it happened to be just sparkling water. So when you have that perception and you take that first drink, you think bubbly, sweet, a little bit acidic soda, and it's just flat water, you're kind of jolted, right? And then similarly, something happened to me where I was drinking coffee in the morning. I was in a rush to get into the kitchen and poured myself some really hot coffee and threw an ice cube in it to cool it down so it wouldn't burn my palate. And when I took my first drink, I got the ice cube into my mouth with the coffee. So I had screaming hot coffee and an ice cube. So I had dual temperature in my mouth at the same time. So both of those sensations to me were really profound. They really made me think about what was happening in my mouth. And so I said, hey, we should try to create a dish that intentionally has hot and cold in it at the same time and has some sort of mystery to what the flavor is going to be. So we started talking about it aloud amongst a few of us in the kitchen. And at the time, we were collaborating almost every day with Martin Kastner from Crucial Detail. And I knew a service piece was going to have to be a big part of this. How do you get something hot and cold, make it elegant, make it one bite so that we have all of the control. There's no room for error. So Martin came up with this wax bowl concept where it suspended a piece of food that would be piping hot, and then right below it would be a chilled broth or soup or liquid of some sort. So then we start analyzing what food has the right density to be super, super hot and stay hot for a really long time, because you make it in the kitchen, you have to transport it out to the dining room, they have to describe it, the guest has to pick it up and eat it. And somebody said, well, what about a baked potato? What about a piping hot baked potato? And I said, hot potato, dense, we get it ripping, blazing hot. Even if it's a tiny marble-sized piece, it'll stay hot for a long time. Okay, well, what's the liquid underneath? Well, it should also be potato, and then we can make a vichyssoise. So now we have this, this hot potato ball that's been cooked in clarified butter suspended over a vichyssoise that we'll make super luxurious by adding truffle to it. And we have this custom service piece that's going to be interactive, and people have to engage it and literally activate it by pulling out the pin and dropping that hot potato sphere into the cold potato soup. And they have to slurp it like an oyster. And I just feel like of all the dishes that we've done here at the restaurant, there was an understanding of the basics of cooking, So we're literally analyzing the density of foodstuffs, right? We're going like, what could be the best hot thing? And then we have a base knowledge of, in this case, French cookery, where we're like, okay, potato soup, vichyssoise, leeks, dairy, potato, served chilled. We're gonna implement that in our own way. And then comes in Martin to try to figure out physically the best way to separate the two temperatures and then combine them at the last minute. And then you have the guest that's now involved because they have to activate the actual mixing of the temperatures and they have to consume it in a very unusual way, and it becomes participatory. To me, that just sort of embodies the spirit of Alinea. It's like everything's wrapped up in that little dish the size of an oyster shell. Crazy.
Find more on Grant Achatz by Googling Grant Achatz. Kidding. Find him at alinearestaurant.com. This episode is produced by myself, along with Ian Cohen and Joel Yeaton. Find me and keep up to date with this podcast across all social media platforms at On Cappy's Plate, or go to beyondtheplatepodcast.com. Beyond the Plate is on Twitter at BTPlatePodcast and Facebook. Please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast on your listening site of choice. Thank you for listening to Just the Plate, a production of Beyond the Plate. I'm Cappy.